rape a girl in front of people, and you're on the swim team, and you get off because we would hate for it to ruin your life.
Right.
But what happened to that girl's life? You know, like there's so many issues that we can talk about that bring us to, what is it? June 24th, right? June 24th, 2020.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons why things are the way they are on June 24th, 2020. So I beg everyone who's listening, man, just like take a second off the gram, take a second off Facebook, take a second off Snapchat, and look at the, I mean, for better, excuse my French, but look in the fucking mirror, you know, and ask yourself, are you happy with the person that's looking back? Because I guarantee 99% of y'all are not happy with the person that's looking back at them.
All right, absolutely. And I think,
You know?
I had this conversation actually with my supervisor at work, and I said it, and I thought about it after I said it, and it kind of really just kind of resonated a little bit, because I don't have a comfort zone. I can get out of a comfort zone quickly. Ken has always said he has no comfort zone, right? Do you have a comfort zone, or do you always challenge yourself a little
I
more?
prefer to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
I think being comfortable is the most dangerous thing that you can be.
All right. So with that thought in mind, let's take it back to the very beginning. Well, not even the very beginning, but at one point you told me I'm invited to the barbecues, right? That's usually the response that I get, because I understand black culture more than probably the next white person does. But what if you took that uneducated white person and invited them to the barbecue instead?
I think, man, I'll tell you what will happen. I will tell you what will happen. A lot of people, the majority of people actually that I've met that are more on the ignorant side, I'll be honest, it's not an issue with the color of our skin. It's a fear of the culture. They're
not used to it.
think about it, man. Think about it. Like we come out the womb, you know, dancing, whatever. Like, you know, our culture. It's loud. It's colorful. It's bright. It's
Right.
passionate.
Right.
You know, and
Flavorful.
and
It's not structured.
and coming from, you know, I mean, granted, my father's not Anglo-Saxon white. He's Italian, which is a different kind of white. But
I'm Maltese, but I'm white as hell.
yeah, but I'm saying
My
like,
great grandparents came in through Ellis Island.
but traditionally speaking, if you look at like English history, you know, like with Church of England, Protestants, if you go through monarchy and that history, you will notice that like white Anglo-Saxon culture is very
Yeah, it's
you,
structured.
you know, it's very
It's just
they weren't dancing. It's a very like I don't know what the word is. If it's profession, I wouldn't say professional. Just I not bland. I can't find the word, but I think, you know, the cultures are kind of opposing.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I had a conversation with a friend. I was like, I was talking about how, you know, when I was single, I met women, you know, who were like, I would never date a black guy, and I was like, wow, okay. I understand people have preferences, right? But if I see a beautiful Indian woman, if I see a beautiful white woman, if I see a beautiful Chinese woman, we all know that there's baddies in every culture, right?
Hey, mine's Puerto Rican.
There you go. And at the end of the day, so I wanted to unpack that, and I talked to one of my friends, you know, who was in the sorority lifestyle and, you know, was privy to all those conversations, and she's like, it's not. She said, I don't think it's the fact that like the fear of like being with a black guy, it's a cultural fear. It's like he's the music he listens to is different than mine. The way he speaks is different than the way I speak. The way his family is very different than the way my family. The humor is different. The jokes I'm not picking up. So they make the unconscious or I don't even know, it might be slightly prejudiced decision to say, I'd rather be with someone in my culture. You know, I'm too uncomfortable.
It's a block barrier. Like
Yeah,
they limit themselves of attempting to go to the other side, which would be more fun if they actually become more open-minded. But they just so used to doing what they're, you know, especially with their parents, you know, being taught and that's what's normal. So when they do encounter someone that's just like not in their comfort zone and have, you know, a brighter culture, you know, and stuff like that, it becomes so confusing. They're like,
Yeah.
it becomes very overwhelming for them. They can't adapt to that. They're
Yeah.
like, how could I be like that?
So
You know?
I'm not and with my question, I wasn't necessarily referring to like, let's talk about, you know, your Confederate flag, you know, waving KKK.
Yeah, no,
I'm talking
understand.
about the let's say just the uneducated, in the middle, white individuals that I think that is the type of thing that getting out of that comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, trust me, I'll go eat a rack of ribs. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
let me grab a plate. But
No,
I think
for an ignorant person that's in the middle, they need to be thrown themselves into that like several times. It's not something that, you know, you're just gonna go in there and it's gonna just adjust.
right,
It
but
also
they're
depends on-
afraid. They could be afraid to throw themselves into that situation without the invitation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those that could be listening to this that are like, well, I want to be invited to the barbecue too. I want to learn, but they're not because they just don't have that knowledge, right? I can sit here and I can spit facts of what I've learned as far as the civil rights movement, this, that, and the other. But that uncomfortableness from both sides to say, hey, you're one that doesn't know about us. If you're willing to learn, we'll teach you. And not just that, but from your point of view, if you feel like you want to ask us any questions, I'm open to this for those, because let's also be honest in the sense that for those racist, KKK members, white individuals, right? There's also a group of black people that would completely dismiss me just because I'm white.
Yep.
Right?
That comes down to, I mean, in my academic career, there's something that as researchers call uncertainty valence theory. All right. So naturally, all human beings are adverse to uncertainty. Things that make you uncomfortable, you're going to be a little bit more weary of, and to put that theory in layman's terms, I guess. It's and that's natural with everyone, but it varies, based on the subject that you're speaking about. So one ignorant white person, might go into that situation, like I think of my father, for instance. Like, my dad is a white dude that liked black girls, in Italy my dad was born in 1947, so he's went through the 60s and whole nine yards, and he's definitely talked about and stuff like that. But he was once that ignorant white person as well, and then fell in love with that culture. But that's based on the person, that's he based on that subject that we were talking about, right? He is the subject. Now another ignorant white person can go into that culture and be like, whoa, and they can have a bad experience, or they can just be uncomfortable as a whole with the jokes or whatever, and they might never, I guess, dive deeper into those feelings. So I think all that can change with exactly what we're doing right here, having that dialogue. I mean, this is a multiracial table as it is. Like, Ken and I are very different, on the black spectrum. He's an immigrant. He's has a Nigerian background. I have an African American background. We're both black. We're both in the same struggle. But even our cultures are different. You see what I'm saying? And there's beauty within that. And I think that's something that you'll see in a lot of cultures that aren't your own. But here we are at this very multicultural table, with all sides of the spectrum. We're shades, not shade, right? You're a different shade. I'm a different shade. I'm mixed. I have Nigerian in me, but I'm not full Nigerian. You see what I'm saying? And we're all having that dialogue about culture. No one's getting mad. No one walked off. We might have different religious ideologies. We might have different political ideologies. But here we are having that conversation. And I'm sure we are all growing in this moment, in that conversation. I think so that's what it's really about, is that people need to have that dialogue. For everyone who's feeling strange or uncertain out there, like, walk up to your black coworker and just talk to them. Someone who you've never talked to before, you know, or the Vietnamese person in your company.
Just start to learn to embrace and stop having to be scared to talk to another race and just have another conversation. Yes, our skin color is different, where we came from some type of womb. It's all the same, like, you know, just different skin color. Like, to just going up to approach and having no conversation, not being scared. Like, you know, just because the person is black, just because the person is white, like, you know, that is how we're gonna have to make that difference of a barrier. Like, you know, so if that person is smart and intellectual, cool. That person is smart and intellectual. Like, you know, let's just move forward from that. Like, we shouldn't have, you know, a set difference. Like, you know, if that culture is different, get to know the culture is different. Like, you can't be just scared and keep holding yourself back and keep sticking to your own culture. Like, you know, then that you're not truly growing.
Yep.
You're holding yourself on growth, and that's what you're doing. So if you're not growing and getting outside your comfort zone, which it's always been preached about, then you're not growing. You're just lying to yourself at this point.
Yep.
So get to know different aspects. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I want to travel the world," but are you really saying that you really want to travel the world, or do you just like the views? Like, get to know like the culture that when you're in that aspects, you know, which I could actually respect. Like, you know, you took the time to learn a whole different culture, language, see how everyone moves. Like, you know, that's the whole point of growth. But if you're not doing that, and then you're the type of person that likes to post on IG, Black Lives Matter, and I haven't seen you spoke openly about it, or approach a black person, but like, hey, look, I want to make a change. I want to know about your culture. Like, tell me what you know that I don't know, or I wasn't aware of. That is what we should be seeing, utilizing our platform. But everyone does the exact same shit. So there's no leadership. There's no growth. It's just the same things. So if, for example, if all this, you know, sets aside, right? Is everyone gonna go back to their normal shit and posting the same shit? Quotes this, views this, like, come on, you gotta do better. Like, you know,
I think that's important, man. You know, at the end of the day, we got to